We need those minerals for things, but sometimes if they sit, they create mineral rings.
Right? So then, like, the next time we went, it was like, I had friends come over. It's like, will you come flush my toilets for me? Like, we don't have a house sitter. We have a toilet flusher that comes to keep the rings at bay.
Mental note, if I'm going to be away for an extended period of time, get a toilet flusher.
Yes.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
And Jen Harris, an interior designer who have teamed up
to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Reframe and Reclaim. I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And today we're discussing the C step of reclaim, which is clean.
Clean.
I feel like every time you say clean, it has to be like a ding,
Like,
some shine.
Yeah. So Jen, talk to me about your cleaning. How did you learn to clean? Like growing up, in life. How was that?
Next question. No, it's not that we had a dirty house growing up by any means, but it was very, my mom, worked was full-time working and then came home, cooked dinner, like did all the house stuff. My dad usually worked like a third shift. And so, was in and out. Like at 15, my mom really, my sister was 2 at the time. So that really became her priority, was raising my sister, right? And so we ate out a lot. I did not learn how to cook. So it's kind of my self-taught cleaning, I guess. And this isn't to knock on my mom or anything. She was very, very busy. And of course she did the best she could. And, I turned out all right. So, I think she did a good job.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
But, as far as cleaning goes, it's really just been what I've come up with as I've tried out new things and figured it out. But yeah, what about you?
I had a mom who was wonderful, a dad who was great. Everyone has different ideas of what cleaning is, but
Very true.
There was a chapter in my life where we were expected to do lots of really good deep cleaning, and so cleaning is my jam. Like, I love to clean.
She does.
And so, again, clean has different connotations depending on your background, your life experience, kind of where you're at in life. And so I just wanted to lay that out there. Like, clean is, we're going to talk about what it is and what it isn't today. But our hope is with this clean process, it's not going to feel overwhelming or challenging. And so we're going to talk through that today.
And one thing that I like about cleaning is, it's always comes across with like, it's a task, it's a chore, and it's this, but really focus on how you feel after a space is clean. And that's where the magic is, I think.
I know. We're going to do the task, the action, and the feel. We're going to put all of this together so that we can start to really see how the space can come about. So we've already talked about R, reflect.
Yes.
That's the sitting, the thinking. We've talked about E, evaluate, where the action starts and we start looking at our space. Now the C, clean. This really is just what this sounds like. It's emptying your space. Mm-hmm. And again, start small if you're starting the reclaim process with us. Start with a drawer, start with a closet, start with a cabinet, because those smaller spaces aren't as overwhelming as some of those larger spaces. And you can even take the whole larger space of your kitchen and just do this drawer,
break it down,
this cabinet, this pantry, this fridge, whatever. So in this step, this is my jam. We're going to take everything out and we're going to actually clean. We're going to wipe down. We're going to sweep up. We're going to vacuum. We're going to, kind of make this space look and feel new.
Yes. And that's real, again, going back to the action as well as the feeling. So what you want to do is empty and clean the space so that it feels like a fresh, clean slate. And one of my favorite parts about the clean process is after you've cleaned it and you looked at it, how does it feel empty versus how it felt when items were full in it, right? So for me, a recovering maximalist, we've discussed this before.
Yes.
It was really helpful for me to see the space empty. And it's like, oh, this does feel better to me. This feels more open, more airy. It feels there's less mental work being done to try and see and see all the items.
This brings me
But
kind of to like the season we're in right now. Like when we say open area, I think of opening the windows. I think of like the idea of the spring cleaning. You know,
Yes.
we're coming into March. Today's March 1st when we're recording this. So the spring cleaning is kind of what everybody thinks about, like getting things renewed and fresh. And so this is a little bit of a, nod to that.
yes, for sure. And have you had that experience like I had where it's like you cleaned and emptied the space, and did you find it felt better empty as opposed to how it was before?
Yes, I really like, again, when I clean, I take off everything off the counters and I clean, and then I put things back. Whenever I clean, my kid's room or the playroom, I like to take things off and do that. And so it feels nice knowing that not only does it look a certain way, but it's actually clean in there. But sometimes it doesn't feel quite right when it's empty, and you're like, wait, I need this to have some character. I need to have personality, and that's where the starting with the reframe, reflect,
Yes.
comes into place.
And really guides and directs you to
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
And one thing, like we had a case study once with a client with her curio cabinet, and she hadn't touched it or cleaned it in 15 years, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so we took everything out and cleaned it, and not that it was dirty, it wasn't dusty, but just, giving it that little bit of shine really brought the cabinet back to life and really
Right.
showcased the items that were present inside and the items that she really valued.
Definitely. And I think, again, it's also like giving nod to her items, because her items were her sentimental items. It was stuff that was heirloom, passed down to her, things that, reminded her of her most fond memories in life. And so we wanted the curio cabinet that held these things to also shine and show that kind of emotion of newness, brightness, clarity, so you could see those things so well.
Yes. No, so Courtney, since cleaning is your jam, are there any cleaning products that you love or recommend or
Yes.
things?
All of them. So I do have different cleaning products. When it comes to, cleaning glass, I like to get ammonia-free things that, won't leave those streaks, because those streaks are just stubborn sometimes.
Well, then you feel you did all this work and it's streaky. I totally get that.
And it doesn't look as clean, right? It may actually be, clean of germs, all those things, but you want it to look clean as well. If you are more naturopathic, I do have some more nature-based vinegar, lemon, those kinds of things. But if I'm doing a good deep clean, give me some Clorox and Lysol, for sure.
For me, one of my go-tos is the magic eraser.
Oh, yeah.
Which truly is magic, just for getting out stubborn stains and
Definitely.
that kind of stuff. So something else I recently discovered, this is a little side tangent, but we would go out of town. We'd go to Maine every summer, and there was a summer we were able to go away for a month. And when we came back, we didn't realize not flushing the toilets for a month would leave a ring.
Oh, wow.
I cleaned it. I deep cleaned it all right before I left, but it still left a ring. And I tried for a year to try and figure out what it was. And I found a pumice stone. Have you seen those?
I've heard of that.
And I was finally able to pumice stone this ring. I mean, it was just like a discoloration ring, but it drove me crazy every time I saw it. So that's a pumice stone is one of my favorites.
Those minerals in the water,
Yes.
we need those minerals for things, but sometimes if they sit, they create mineral rings.
Right? So then the next time we went, it was I had friends come over. It's will you come flush my toilets for me? We don't have a house sitter. We have a toilet flusher that comes to keep the rings at bay.
Mental note, if I'm going to be away for an extended period of time, get a toilet flusher.
Yes. So can you remember any or recall any clients where after the cleaning process, it seemed to be a switch, or is there something with your clients whenever they've seen a space that's empty, or if they've been able to unload something that they feel better?
I will say, I work with a lot of normal people with life stuff going on. I always say that therapy isn't for those who have the biggest, most challenging things. Sometimes it's just life. And so I do hear quite often the stress and the overwhelm of clutter and like where to start with, getting things back in order. We actually talk about, just life things, how we can create action to that. But yes, there is a relief when, okay, this space, I have a helper to do it, I have a friend to do it, my partner is helping me with it, or we're just going to tackle it, at a certain time. But that can create a lot of cortisol in our body. It creates a lot of tension in relationships when those things aren't being addressed, for sure.
Why is it that like in our mental psyche, like if whenever there is so many items, why do we have problems with that?
Well,
I know that's a big
that's
question.
a big question. Okay. Well, and again, everyone has different tolerances. We call it distress tolerance to different environments, sounds. We call it, stimulation, whether it's a visual stimulation, a sound stimulation. And so having lots of things, if you're a recovering maximalist or if you're a designer who loves to change things and make things new and look fresh, your tolerance of things is probably pretty large.
Yes.
For those who, have a lot of stressors in life or their life is super busy and, they need more mental space for like mental things, having extra stimulation of visual clutter, that's what we call it, and in the design world, the psychology is like visual clutter actually creates more cortisol and stress hormone, which creates this irritability and annoyance and frustration, and it can actually flip our lids, which is take our brains from the critical thinking, from the problem solving, from the analysis, from the creating plans to overwhelm. And then we get to the freeze or the fight or the flight escape. And so, we have to really know our own limits and boundaries in that.
I can completely relate to that, especially like, so whenever before I had children, I was single and everything, I knew where everything was. And so it was all, my environment was catered to all and curated to my needs,
Just
right?
you.
And just what I wanted and needed. And now that these little people are running around and, throwing pillows and toys and, just doing what kids do, I do feel like I need the environment to be much simpler in order to make space for
Definitely.
for life.
And
for
I
more
think
life.
with children too, they are going to be loud. They are going to make a mess. They are going to not be as organized. They're still learning all of those things. So for them too, we don't always realize how overstimulating our space can be for them. And so,
Yeah.
the sounds, the things we see, the things we smell. Sometimes I really love our house to smell like really good, but that can be overwhelming for my husband or my child to have that candle burning all day. And so just being aware of like who's in our space, how we're sharing that space, and how it's affecting you personally, and the people you share that with.
And that's interesting you say that too, because, I know kids pick up on more than we give them credit for sometimes.
Oh, yes.
But I remember one time I, deep cleaned, I cleaned off my kitchen island, which is one of our clutter spots. And my son at the time, who was 7, came home and he was like, "Mom, did you redo the kitchen?" I was like, "No, I just cleaned," which, I mean, that's saying something right there. But like, "No, I just cleaned off the counter." He was like, "Oh," he's like, "Can we leave it like this? This feels really good." And like the fact that at 7, he's able to process and verbalize and understand like this is what I need for my environment really is a driving force for me to keep my maximalism at bay and really keep surfaces clear. So
Right. And we think of kids as being chaotic and, not structured, but they really need some of that. And so, as we're going through and we talked about like, how did you learn to clean? How did I learn to clean? It was very different in our homes, and it's not right or wrong. It's just what worked for our families at the time. We had different dynamics growing up. So when you're thinking of your house and this clean process. This is not make your whole house clean and minimalist and sterile. That is not going to work for every home. It does not work for me in my home.
Me neither.
But when we're going through the 7 steps of reimagining the space and reclaiming the space for what feels good and works for you, we really want to take this space and take it all to a renewed, clean, empty space.
Yes. I will say one of the things that I find deeply satisfying to clean are my trash cans.
Oh.
Like, it's something that's so overlooked and like is just sitting there. But once those are clean, it's like, oh, like, I don't know what it is, but it makes me feel so good. Do you have anything strange like that?
What do I feel really good? I will say my sink, honestly. Growing up, it was, put things away where they need to go. And so for me, I have that, not everything goes away in my home, by the way. Please don't take that from what I'm saying. But I like at the end of the night for sink to be empty. And so, and I'll even kind of scrub it, get all the little food particles out. It just lets my brain relax and be ready for that sleep that night. Yeah. A clean sink is a happy mom.
Clean trash cans, that makes me feel good.
What makes you feel good? What's something you enjoy cleaning that helps you just feel good about your space?
So that kind of wraps up the C clean of the reclaim process.
So if you have an area in your home, we want to challenge you. It is spring. Let's do a little bit of spring cleaning. Find a space in your area of your environment and let's go through the clean. Let's take everything out. Let's wipe it down. Let's dust it. Let's sweep under the couch or whatever it is and let us know how it feels. If you have questions, comment below. If you have things that have been helpful for the reframe and reclaim process for you, we'd love to hear from you.
All right, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.